Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off electronic equipment? We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
We have before us for approval our minutes of our July 19th meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, we approve those.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We will now open for public comment. You have 3 minutes. You may discuss any subject.
Art Cortilli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. Now, you've heard me probably a number of times talk about the schools. Well, for year 14 to 18, you've lost almost 100 students, and I talked about that's 25 per year. But there was some talk that maybe this year it'll level out. Well, you know, it's not leveling. It's falling down, not leveling. So we're down to projected 16. Now, that's pretty poor. Are we going to have one class of 16, or are we going to have two classes of 8? If we go, we can do a whole lot here if we really put our minds to it and get a plan of action. And what we could do is we can look at what our previous school board president used as a criteria. It was 21 students. He said the ideal, he told me personally, was 18 to 21. So he chose 21 so he can get the biggest bang for his buck. And that's an ideal number. Now, all of a sudden, that bar has been lowered and lowered and lowered. So now, you know, we have 18, we have 15, we still break them up. I mean, it just gets gross. So if we listen to them, 7 out of our 9 grades would have 2 classes. And in fact, one of those, that's kindergarten, would really only have one class. This would allow a lot of room. This would be the beginning of seeing what you actually have, because you'll be able to look at the school and say, I only have 10 rooms filled. Of 21 kids, that's 200, that's 210. Wow, what am I going to do with the rest of the rooms, and what am I going to do with the second floor? I mean, that's how few you have. But if you keep salting them down to 10, to 9, to 11, to 12, I mean, you always look like you have people in the rooms. But as the late Joanne Colzer said, she went in Thai for the first time in a long time, a couple of years ago. She says she was shocked by how quiet it was. She passed by the rooms and they're half empty. So if you want to deal from a position of strength, you should have one school, not 2 half empty. You should have one that's about 85% full, and take on some students from other districts. That would make everybody happy. But you can't keep doing what you're doing. And wouldn't it be wonderful if the building that you free up could be turned over to the city and given to a developer who would make it a 55 and older community? That's what we need here. We have older people who would love to stay in Margate now that they've reached a certain age. Let them have a place to go instead of moving offshore. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Following up on Arthur's comments, you have a school that's been failing all 7 indices of efficiency. Let's get this new interim superintendent to at least achieve 1 efficiency out of 7. It's deplorable, and it's costing taxpayers a fortune. Mayor, you lack the intellectual wherewithal to be able to appreciate the gravitas of the school situation in light of Gary Stein's lawsuit against the state and DOE. Instead, Mayor, you have embarked on squandering hundreds of thousands of dollars on totally redundant, superfluous administrators. It's feather bedding at its very worst and most avaricious. The joke of an interim superintendent and an additional principal to replace Carney Ray will cost the senior citizen property taxpayers in excess of $500,000. And to what end? It's rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Mayor, the Margate School District, as you know it, will be obliterated, demolished, in toto. Mayor, the problem is you're too cognitively impaired to recognize and to prepare for it. You have no plan. Once again, no plan, no direction whatsoever. Mayor, you labor under the mistaken notion that your years of abusing the property taxpayers ad infinitum will go on forever. Mayor, you're dead wrong. Just as Gary Stein, while on the Supreme Court bench, was responsible in part for the dreadful and most costly Abbott decision, so shall he be responsible for the forced consolidation of the 3 school districts on Absecon Island. After years of throwing billions and billions of dollars on Abbott districts, it finally dawning on the Marxist socialist that no matter how much money you throw at an Abbott district, it's all for naught. Senator Chris Brown cites Asbury Park, where the state forks over $32,000 per pupil per year each and every year. Results are still dismal and horrific, with test scores in the toilet. Mayor, it's time for you to do what needs to be done. Merge with Ventnor School District now, before it's too late. Ventnor can critically supply the essential student diversity to satisfy the Supreme Court. Margate schools at less than 1% black students will never meet the diversity goal of ending de facto segregation, which has been going on in Margate for as long as anybody can remember, maybe back to the restrictive easements along the parkway. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment?
Chuck Shaman, 1 North Granville. First, I'd like to commend either the commissioners, the beach patrol, whoever was responsible for the ATVs on the beach to transport the elderly and physically challenged people from the bulkhead to where the water is at the beach. It's a great service, and I commend everybody who was involved on that. The main reason I wanted to speak was I want to make known my opposition to a boardwalk in Margate. If the main purpose of the boardwalk would be to allow seniors and people with physical problems better access to the beach because of the problem of getting over the dunes, there are much better ways to solve that than running a continuous boardwalk from one end of Margate up to Ventnor. They would be better served by putting in either a small pavilion with a walkway at various entrances so that the people can get from the bulkhead to the top of the dune at least. If the main purpose of the boardwalk is to allow people to walk and bicycle from one end of Margate into Atlantic City, then I think that the people of Margate should be told that that is the true purpose of why the people are pushing to get the boardwalk. I'm talking about the groups who are putting pressure on the board to put in the boardwalk. And the cost of the boardwalk with the maintenance of the boardwalk would be considerable. Independent walkways at certain points would be much less costly, easier to maintain, and probably a more important access point for everybody would be if we had more of the ground level transfers where you could get from the street to the other side of the bulkhead instead of having to go up steps. Going up the steps can be difficult for people, and then if you do have a cart or have much equipment with you, it is not an easy task. And if the people seem to think, or if Margate has that much money that they could actually consider doing a boardwalk, I'd rather see it spent on the drainage system in Margate. I live on Granville, and my end does not flood much, but I don't have to go very far where you can't get up the street when the rains are very, very heavy. But as I said, I am one person who is opposed to Margate putting in a boardwalk. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I make a comment for you, so you can come back if you want? When this began, there were citizens that came here, asked the Board of Commissioners if we would consider a boardwalk. We said we would, and we did. Within days, we have contacted the people who we have to get permitting from, et cetera, for directions. There was no commitment for a boardwalk. We said we would consider it. We have. We just posted about an hour ago on our website 7-page report, which will pretty much bring you up to date on where we are at this point. A lot of obstacles in the way. We will, excuse me, we will continue to look and go, but read the report and then,
Okay.
come see us.
Well-
It's very interesting. Okay, it's about
Mayor,
7,
May I?
you may.
Thank you. Sir, I appreciate your compliments on our beach transport. That was an idea that the 3 commissioners came up with, knowing we were going to have issues going into this first season. And even though the dune project isn't totally completed, we did it as sort of a pilot program where our lifeguards were really amenable and really worked it out. It got cumbersome at times. I know last Sunday, not last Sunday because it rained, the Sunday before that, we did 25 transports that day alone, which shows us the need. And when the Army Corps is finally finished and leaves the site, hopefully by the end of this year, in December 31st of 2018, and we have our engineer beach back as our beach again with no more construction happening, we're going to revisit it through the winter. We're looking at renting a couple more vehicles and maybe having it just totally dedicated, because we keep our lifeguards busy and their prime job is to guard our beaches and keep our residents and our visitors safe. The other thing I want to mention is the flooding. We authorized, we're going out for bid. We're going to continue the job. It's going to go start in October. It's going to pick up from Granville Avenue, where they left off last year, and go down to what did we say, Exeter or?
Exeter.
Exeter. And that's all part of the program. When we went into a shared service several years ago, when the mayor and Commissioner Blumberg, before I was here, with Gardens Plaza pump station, it's a forced pump station to help pull that water, because we're on a barrier island, and when it was created, everything wasn't finished, so water lays in that area. So hopefully that, as we progress, that will get solved. And the great question you brought up was about the breaches in the boardwalk, the handicap accessibility. Several years, probably 12 years ago, the former commissioners created a program where we've gotten grants every year to do 2 breaches, where before the dunes were built, we put storm gates in them during the winter so the flooding didn't come back to the street. But with, the Army Corps, with the $19 million drainage system they just created for us that will be completed by December, that's going to help out on flooding. But every year, in fact, we're awarding a contract this winter for 2 more breaches. So we have 21 streets completed, Mayor?
23.
23. So we're going to need another 5 to 10 years to get basically every street, so that we won't have to climb over the step, that people, handicapped mothers with, strollers and things of that nature, and even people my age can walk rather than climbing up and down, which gets difficult at times.
Okay.
But
Well,
we
thank you.
really appreciate your comments.
Thank you for the additional information. Again, I want to really, it's a terrific program with those ATVs to transport the people. And I didn't mean to imply that the board had decided on a boardwalk, but I keep reading
No, it didn't take
people
it
in
that way.
favor of it that come here and speak, and I wanted the board to know there are people that are not in favor.
You are alone in my world. I've spoken to many who are in favor of the boardwalk, but we appreciate it. We really do. Read the report. I think you'll find it very interesting. Yeah.
Mike, if I could just add one thing to the discussion. I want to thank Commissioner Amadeo and the beach chief, as well as the entire beach patrol. I have a little story to tell in that I was on the beach the other night, and it was close to quitting time, and our lieutenants patrol the beach on their carts, and one of the lieutenants happened to see an elderly couple with their chairs and their cart, and they didn't ask and they didn't call, and he stopped and he picked them up and he took them over and across the dunes. And I just thought it was, for me, it kind of made me smile and made me happy that our beach patrol is out there. They are aware of the situation and they are doing their best to try and help. So extend that for me, John, and thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Great job. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Any other public comment?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I'll be the second person that's against the boardwalk. I think it's, at least, the second person today. I think it's a waste of money. If we have to spend, if you have to bond $30 million or whatever it's going to be, okay, maybe, or a major bonding, maybe 10 million, I don't know. That money should be used possibly to dredge the back bay. I don't think we have the luxury of building a $30 million boardwalk that's going to cost maybe $100 per 100,000 assessment of the home. I think just a waste of money. So if you have a $500,000 home, it might cost you another $500 a year in your tax bill. For what? If we have to do that kind of bonding, at least think about the money for the dredge in the back bay. A boardwalk is a luxury we can't afford. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other public comment?
Jump on top of this. Susan Rubin, 117 South Osborne. Just want to go on record, I too am against a boardwalk. Simple, done, not needed.
Thank you.
Vaughn.
You guys got pictures?
Familiar sight.
You're in there, Fred. Vaughn Real, 6 North Mansfield Avenue, Margate City, New Jersey. Since we're talking about my favorite topic, dunes, which really isn't why, well, I guess it is why I came in. As far as boardwalk, yeah, I'm against boardwalk too. However, you do, and I think you guys know this, have an access issue. And one of the ways you could address it, although probably money, not a boardwalk, but a bridge that goes perpendicular to Atlantic Avenue. Because the problem that we have is, unlike Ventnor, where you have an access ramp and then you just come down the ramp, we got to go up and down and up and down. And that's the part that's killing people's knees, et cetera. But in theory, you could build, like Ventnor has, the access ramps that get you out to the boardwalk instead of having a boardwalk. With that said, what you have there, because we have to make the best of what we got right now, those are pictures of the Osborne, I guess that's Osborne Avenue, outfall pipe.
Nassau.
Nassau, yeah. The beach is on Osborne. That's square on Nassau. Correct, John. As you can see on both sides, there's plenty of room. You can't even see the lifeguard stands. What I'm asking you guys to do is kind of fix something or talk to the beach patrol. I'll talk to them. Make it a surfing beach. Because right now you've got all these people trying to surf between Osborne and on Pembroke, and you've got a lot of people that are piled up, and it's not safe. And I've been in here a couple times over the past couple of years. Now we've got an opportunity because you've had to move the one lifeguard stand, and the other one's now so far away. You can see that there's clearly enough room to safely put a surfing beach where the surfers shouldn't encroach. You know, they'd really be overstepping because it's such a big surf. It'd be one of the biggest surf areas in Margate, actually. So I'd ask you guys, talk to the beach patrol and consider it, because otherwise you got master surfers surfing through beginner surfers, and it's not safe. Somebody's going to get hurt. So, okay, so I ask you guys to consider.
So Vaughn,
Yeah.
if I might, we had a surfing beach at Pembroke, kind of Quincy.
Yeah, it's still there.
So what you're suggesting is that we have a surfing beach, say Mansfield, am I looking at Mansfield here?
That is correct. You're looking Mansfield down to Kenyon.
So Mansfield right now is not designated a bathing beach at all.
Correct.
If it's designated a surfing beach, what does that mean for us? It doesn't mean that we're guarding it, right, John?
Mansfield is going to be your next outfall. So next year, when we create the ordinance for our beaches, there's going to be changes. Or Kenyon. So, but because Kenyon is going to have an outfall, we're going to look at the safety. And I've already spoken with Greg many times about this. We're looking at putting additional guards on, especially walking between the outfalls, because when a guard's in a stand, he can't see a kid on the other side. These are all the obstacles that as we go, we're learning. So we are addressing them. He's supposed to, we hired 2 additional lifeguards beyond what our normal staffing was when you were mayor here, and it stayed the same until now,
For the record, you guys talked for the last minute, 38 seconds.
just so that we can walk between and on the other side, some of the rookies are keeping an eye on the kid.
No, I got it.
So, as you know from Margate,
If
that
we're
you
being a
have to
guard.
have it, you're going to have an ordinance next year, because we're going to have to change Gladstone, because there's going to be an outfall there. It's not going to affect Claremont, because where the outfall goes on the other north side of the pier, we still have Claremont. So what's going to happen is probably Gladstone's going to shift to Granville, Huntington's going to shift to Iroquois, and then we're going to have to revisit Knight and on the other side.
Okay, so, geez, how do I say this tactfully? Having once been in municipal government, having once been a lifeguard, you've got an unsafe situation that you can make safer right now if the guards just don't enforce people not surfing over there right now. Because right now you got Stacy Surf Camp there, and then you got, I'll call myself a master surfer. I've been doing it for 50 years, so I hope I am.
So you're one of the old guys.
I'm one of the old guys, and I'm terrified about running over one of these groms with my 10-foot board or with one of my kayaks, and it's friggin' dangerous.
All right, I'll go down with Greg tomorrow. and
Take a look at it. All right, thanks, guys.
Something we'll look at for one.
I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Nice suntan.
Thank you. Went to Margate.
And before you came, I was talking about the breaches in the boardwalk. This gentleman was asking about, in the bulkhead. Yeah. That's the mayor that started that program.
That's what happens to old mayors. That's what happens to ex-mayors. They run around in shorts and cut off shirts. I'm in. Any other public comment? This motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We're now open for public comment on ordinances, adoption of ordinances and resolutions. Is there any public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Johanna, bring us home.
We have on our agenda today the adoption of ordinance number 20, 2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 145, flood damage prevention.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We
Mayor,
have,
if we may, before we move on to resolutions, did we want to talk about ordinance number 17-2018, which amends and supplements the land use code of the city of Margate? Do we want any
Yes, please.
discussion? Okay, so now, as I understand it, our planning board was unable to make its final recommendations at its last planning board meeting, and that they've come up with the idea of perhaps studying and perhaps making some revisions to our recent master plan reexamination report, which I believe came out about a year and a half ago. And I know how hard the planning board works on this, and remember, they're volunteers. They stay at these meetings till late at night, and they put an incredible effort in to help Margate. That being said, we had introduced ordinance number 17 of 2018, I believe at our last meeting, and I know how much effort and time has been put in to try to get this ordinance, and some issues arose with regard to notification requirements or the timeliness of adopting classification or boundary changes to our zoning ordinance, and the need for moving forward with public notice or mailings. And there's debatable issue. I have a recommendation to make to you, and as I know some of you're anxious to try to get this ordinance moving forward. What I think we could do is amend ordinance 17 of 2018 so as to change section, let me get the right section here, it's section Article 5, and it would be section 175-29, wherein we talk about changing the different zones. Now, specifically, we're talking about a resort hotel overlay zone. We're talking about a several WF zones. And I think what we could do to try to move this process along would be to delete the zones where we're changing the classification or boundary for S60WF, S40WF, WAPC, institutional use, and beach, and keep moving forward with the HO hotel overlay. That is probably the one provision that will generate a lot of interest for sure. One of our concerns is that people sometimes say, well, you're trying to sneak something in, or we didn't know about it, transparency. My recommendation has been, and remains, that for the area that's to be designated the HO hotel overlay zone, we want to keep going forward with this tonight, that we would send, just like a zoning board application, as a notice to the property owners within that district and 200 feet, which I believe the district is, correct me if I'm wrong, Johanna, it's from Claridge, from Coolidge to
Cedar Grove,
Cedar Grove, Atlantic Avenue, to the ocean.
east of
To the beach.
Atlantic Avenue.
East of Atlantic Avenue. My recommendation would be that you reintroduce as amended this ordinance so as to delete the other new established zones under section 4. Go forward with the hotel overlay, at least let that process keep moving forward. We, the city clerk and I, had already begun the process of getting in a position to send out notices. This would allow our planning board to continue its work if they want to perform a re-examination or further study zoning changes or whatever. Where so many things have been going on, flood prevention, height issues, all that. Not put them under the gun to try to produce this within 30 days or something. It's summer, August, Labor Day. And you could, in my opinion, move forward with this ordinance with that amendment, taking out that section. And again, I don't believe it's mandatory, but I think it would be appropriate to send out notices, and it'll cost a couple bucks to send certified letters to the property owners or their condo associations within that zone, saying here's what is on the table with this zoning. That gives these people an opportunity. They're down here at summertime. I'm sure the public will have input on this. And if you want to do that, we can do that.
I think it's a good idea. What do you- John?
Keeps the ball moving.
Maury?
I agree.
And I do too, Mayor. I think it's good timing because our city has most of its residents here and our second homeowners here during the summer months.
Absolutely.
So we're advertising it, we'll put notice out.
Okay.
And everybody will be aware of the changes.
Okay, so is there a motion to do as the solicitor said?
I will make the motion to amend ordinance number 17 of 2018 as recommended from our solicitor.
I'll second that.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
All right, well, while my mouth is flapping, I've got one more. We've got a resolution here. I understand we're causing perhaps some hardship with the MBA and the moving forward with their financing. I believe it's $90,000. But our auditor has also said that they want some information. Why don't, I see Mr. Berger here tonight. I could make the recommendation that you move forward with the funding tonight. But we have to get a promise from the MBA that they will provide our auditor whatever information the auditor wants. You know, it isn't just the MBA. We put our Margate Little League through this. We put the Lucy the Elephant through this. Anybody that gets monies that do wonderful things for the city, admittedly. But we do have to cover, so as we looked at it, said, well, you know, we don't have any information, financial information. Would that be acceptable to you, Mr. Berger?
Okay.
So
That's
you,
good.
and I don't know if Mr. Costello sent out a letter on this. I
It
think
was supposedly being mailed today or emailed today, so.
requesting that, but in the
Oh, sure.
meantime, if you want, I could recommend that you move forward and give them their findings. If that's what you want to do.
Okay. That's good. Cool. Thank you. All right, so back to you, Johanna.
I'm good.
No, I'm Johanna.
Okay, so
I know you-
resolution number 158, 2018 is a continuance, which was tabled at our last meeting, authorizing 2018 contract with Margate Business Association with the clauses just provided by Solicitor Abbott. May I have a
Correct.
motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 159, 2018, authorizing bill payment and claims?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 160, 2018, authorizing bill payment and claim to Colmar Home Center?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
I abstain.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 161, 2018, authorizing tax payment and interest rates?
Make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for resolution number 162, 2018, authorizing extension of tax payment?
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We have our consent agenda, which also consists of a resolution for the dog park. Shall we, Scott, amend that resolution first?
Yes, actually,
Which is
we're gonna amend two
resolution number
resolutions. We're gonna amend one-
169.
Right, we're going to amend 169, 2018, authorizing shared services with Ventnor for our existing dog park. We're going to change that caption at the suggestion of one of our commissioners, so it'll say, resolution authorizing shared services between the city of Margate City and the city of Ventnor City for the use of the Margate City Dog Park without individual registration fee located at Belmont Drive. And as you read down the body, we're going to take out, as it is, we're going to leave in, Ventnor's going to contribute $3,500 for the insurance and maintenance of the dog park, and they will share that facility and the cost of maintaining it. We're not going to require their Ventnor residents to come to Margate and individually register, pay another $30. We're going to take that out, and I would like to add this wording, a contract or a shared services agreement will be brief. Admittance to the dog park will require that a dog be licensed and vaccinated, but will not require any individual registration fee by either Ventnor or Margate residents and or visitors. So that way you have it in a resolution.
Good.
Not going to charge another fee to Margate taxpayers, as was suggested by you guys. We're going to allow Ventnor in, but Ventnor's going to contribute, as I understand it, they're willing to contribute this $3,500.
That is correct.
So it's a great solution, and as you know, we share a lot of different facilities with them.
And it does have a clause, solicitor, that says after 90 days, we could reassess it, that if it doesn't work out.
Yes, sir, that would
Either-
remain, and we have it in there so that if it doesn't work out for whatever reason,
If we have
either
problems
side
with
can
neighbors
cancel,
complaining.
and we prorate the $3,500.
Right, thank you.
May I have a motion for amended resolution 169, 2018?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Okay, this is the
One-
last time I'll talk, Mayor.
1 second, while we're still in the dog park. This dog park negotiations has been going on for months and months and months. I'd like to thank Dawn Pacelli, who's with us tonight. And she's the only one in orange, if you can't figure out which one she is. She worked very hard, and want to thank you. I think hopefully it'll open doors to more cooperation, and we'll see where we go. Sorry,
Okay,
Scott.
the last amendment, Resolution 170 of 2018, this concerns allowing the owners of Lot 9 of Block 15, which is the Osborne Avenue and the beach, authorizing them to make application to DEP for permission. The change I want to make is in the fourth whereas, and instead of saying obtain an easement from the DEP, just say obtain approval, set approval from the DEP. Because technically, they own where the sand dune is, subject to the DEP's easement. So they wouldn't get an easement to use their own property, but they do have to get approval. Anyway, I think you'll agree, there is no detriment to allowing these property owners to, at their expense, create their own walkway across that sand dune. And the DEP requires that the governing body say that to the DEP before they approve it.
Let's see.
May I have a motion for the amended resolution number 170, 2018, for the easement for Mark and Susan Rubin on Osborne Avenue?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
May I have a motion for the consent agenda, resolution number 163, 2018 through 168, 2018, also including resolution number 170, 2018, and 172, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
That's it,
Anything else?
that's it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
for
make a
that.
motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
And thank you all for being here.